24. I want to thank you for taking a good look in the news with me, Kim Seabrook. And of course, as I always mention, I'd like to start off with what's going on in New York City. So in New York, the homeless kicked out of the UWS Hotel. This homeless thing is becoming a big issue. It's a big issue, but let's see what's going on. It was expected, but is still disappointing if you're a homeless New Yorker. Why? Because this week the city began the process of transferring the homeless who have been staying in the hotels during the height of COVID-19 pandemic back to shelters and open up these establishments for the business. The move does come after the city lost an appeal in court on June 3rd, denying them from keeping the homeless at the Lucerne Hotel. The Lucerne Hotel on the Upper West Side was ground zero, where homeless New Yorkers were put on buses and taken to shelters. Joseph Lunam, he's the housing campaign coordinator for Vocal New York, said that the city could deal with this situation in a better way. It's a major concern for us in regards to the health and safety of our members and leaders, said Lunam. I think that there's a real disconnect right now between what the risks are and what the city is doing. And I also think that there's a lot of opportunity to use this as a moment to address housing. The city's ignoring that and instead forcing people back into shelters. Local residents have called out and pushed back against putting homeless New Yorkers in the Lucerne Hotel. So much so that residents formed a non-for-profit called the West Side Community Organization to raise money for a lawyer, former New York Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro, to sue the city and throw residents out of the Lucerne. West Side Community Organization wishes that the men who have been residing at the Lucerne well. It was read by the statement, and we are heartened that they will now be better served in a proper shelter setting and receive the medical and psychiatric services that they have been lacking for nearly a year. Hotels are not shelters. Westcoast hopes that moving forward, there have been lessons learned from the inadequacy of the hotels as shelters program, and that the practice will be permanently discontinued. Westcoast is proud of its role in the advocacy for public safety, and we know that the Upper West Side will rebound and be stronger than ever in these coming days and months. Residents had initially taken to Facebook groups, one titled Upper West Siders for Safe Streets, to complain about the current occupants' presence and would share pictures to confirm their fears about sheltered residents making their neighborhood a temporary home. This week, they've gotten their wish. The New York City Council recently approved an increase in value of vouchers for the homeless. The value of the vouchers would increase to $1,945, that's $1,945, for a one-bedroom apartment and or $2,217 for a two-bedroom. These vouchers will be brought up to federal Section 8 standards by subsidies from the Family Homelessness and Eviction Prevention Supplement. But the question is, are these landlords and buildings going to accept that? That's the real big question. The bill goes into effect 180 days after its approval. Milton Perez, a homeless man who resides in a hotel in Brownsville, Brooklyn, said that the city should move up the timeline so that homeless New Yorkers could find permanent shelter using these vouchers, and that what the city is currently doing puts homeless people in harm's way. That's New York. And next we have construction begins on first borough-based jail. And that's the program to replace Rikers Island. Construction activities has started last week on the parking garage and community space alongside a new jail in Kew Gardens, Queens. The construction marks the first major activity in the borough-based jails program, which is a $8.3 billion effort to construct 4 new, smaller, and more humane jails in Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens to replace the jails that's on Rikers Island. Passed by the City Council in October 2019, the city's plan to close the jails on Rikers Island and build smaller, safer, and fairer borough-based jail facilities comes at a time when New York City has the lowest crime and incarceration rates of any large city in the United States. The NYC Department of Design and Construction is managing the overall borough-based jails programs citywide. The garage and community space will be constructed at the program's Queens site, adjacent to Queensborough Hall and the Queens Criminal Courthouse. That makes up the heartbeat of the Borough Civic Center. The new approximately 105-foot tall structure will include a 25,000 square foot, two-level flexible multi-purpose community space, plus more than 600 public parking spots. And next, Carver Federal Savings Bank. They offer relief funds for businesses in the underserved communities. So minority-owned small businesses have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19. Minority-owned businesses are more likely than non-minority-owned businesses to have trouble getting loans, and they voice fears of permanently closing and forecast decreased revenues in the following year. Michael Pugh is the president and CEO of Carver Federal Savings Bank, a 72-year-old Black-owned banking organization. It is one of the nation's largest African-American managed and publicly traded institutions. The Carver Bank is located in Harlem, but also has branches in Brooklyn and Queens. And so what we have saw, and the data tells us that more than 41% of these Black and brown small businesses either close their doors or will be closing their doors because they will not be able to recover from the debt and the loss of income associated with the pandemic. And so when you think about the dramatic impact of small businesses that have gone under because of a global issue that changed the lives of us all, we know what these businesses will need is capital to help recover and to try and get back on their feet, said Pugh. But banks such as Carver have been able to acquire money through the Rapid Response Program in order to support small businesses and general demand in the areas that they serve. Through this program, financial institutions that are certified CDFI, which stands for Community Development Financial Institutions, and is a U.S. Treasury designation, will be able to use this capital to support community development, which plays an important economic role in many, many cases. So please make sure to reach out to them if you are a small Black or brown business to get the services that you need. Bill Cosby was freed from his conviction overturned. It appears the convicted comedian Bill Cosby will get the last laugh, though there's little laughable about spending 2 years in prison on a 3 to 10 year sentence. Cosby, 83, at one time deemed America's dad, will be released from prison, his conviction of sexual assault overturned by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court just Wednesday. Cosby's attorney filed an appeal last year challenging the judge's decision to allow 5 accusers to be called by prosecutors and an agreement that Cosby had with a former prosecutor that he would never be charged. Given assurance by the previous prosecutor led to Cosby being engaged in a civil lawsuit against him, providing key testimony to be allowed leading to his conviction. The circumstances before us here are rare, the court wrote in its opinion, if not entirely unique. The comedian, the justice rules, has suffered far greater due to the testimonies given at his 2 trials and dismissed a suggestion that a 3rd criminal trial to be conducted. Overturning the conviction, they decided it would be the only action that would suffice. They added that a contrary result will be patently untenable. It would violate long-cherished principles of fundamental fairness. It will be anti-ethical to and corrosive of the integrity and functionality of the criminal justice system that we strive to maintain. For these reasons, Cosby's convictions and judgment are vacated, and he is discharged. Cosby was arrested in 2015 and convicted in 2018, and the first celeb to feel the brunt of the Me Too ever on charges brought by Andrea Constand, was promised by DA Kevin Steele that he would not bring charges against him, in a promise not put in writing. And next, we have lawmakers and advocates demand clean slate bill be passed. Many people in New York State and the city with criminal records face a host of obstacles as they reintegrate into society after completing their sentencing or probation. The Clean Slate Coalition has been crusading to get a new pass called the S1553A/A6399 to help formerly incarcerated people, especially those in the Black and brown communities, which have basic opportunities such as employment, housing, federal student aid, and the right to vote. The bill will automatically clear a person's criminal record once they become eligible in New York State and has overwhelming support from the public, says statistics. But lawmakers, advocates, and those with personal experiences held a virtual rally on Tuesday, June 29th, demanding that the legislature reconceive this summer to pass the Clean Slate Act. New York State must not delay justice any longer for the 2.3 million New Yorkers shackled by their convictions and perpetually excluded from our state's economy and civil life, said Garrett Smith, statewide organizer at the Center for Community Alternatives. But with a two-way agreement already reached and a clear commitment from both houses, the time is now. According to a Sentencing Project report, Black and Latin people comprise about 29% of the U.S. population, yet they make up over half of the U.S. prison population, with notable disparities existing for both the least and most serious offenses. Black citizens, men in particular, said that the report are most exposed to the collateral consequences associated with a criminal record. Black applicants looking for employment are already less likely to get a call back compared to the whites, and there is an even more pronounced discrimination if they have a criminal record. And I know this firsthand. Studies show that whites with criminal records, however, receive better treatment than blacks without criminal records. And that was also stated in the report. These issues are not only social or economic, but branch out into political power as well, since many states do not give people with felony records the right to vote. Felony disenfranchisement rates for voting age African Americans reached 7.4% in 2016, 4 times the rate of non-African Americans. I had high hopes when I came home from prison, but I experienced roadblock after roadblock, and that was said by Michelle DeVicchio, a member of Center for Community Alternatives and formerly incarcerated. I was rejected from job after job. I have all the skills and wherewithal to succeed in life, but my past convictions have meant that I don't have a real second chance. The Senate and Assembly have currently reached an agreement and commitment to pass the bill and seal certain convictions, but have not yet done so. Again, this is a serious, serious topic. Again, I understand this. I went through it, so this is real. So we definitely need this bill passed. But I'm Kim Seabrook. You're taking a good look in the news, and we're going to go into a commercial break. We'll be right back with one of my guests. His name is Derek Perkinson, works for the National Action Network. And stay tuned. Thank you.
Good job.
You have to mute yourself. Oh my God. I tell ya.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
And welcome back to Millennium TV 24. I'm Kim Seabrook, and as you know, we're taking a good look in the news today. So I have a special guest by the name of Derek Perkinson. Hey, what's going on?
Hey Kim, how are you? Thanks for having me today.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for being a part of this. So you work for NAN, which is the National Action Network. You're a field director, National Crisis Director.
Yes.
What exactly does a National Crisis Director do?
Oh, wow. I'm glad you asked that. Yes, the National Crisis Director, in that capacity, we field calls because of our leader and founder of the National Action Network, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. He's not only a civil rights leader, a reverend, and an activist for civil rights. He's also a TV personality. He's on MSNBC. He's on a radio show every Saturday, TV show every Saturday. So he gets a lot of phone calls to the National Action Network looking for help. So we get calls all over the nation, Kim, and it's horrible. It could be family. It's mostly police brutality cases. It's horror stories, Kim. And this is 2021. We're still getting calls as our people are getting lynched. They're getting lynched in 2021. We have over 5 calls of lynchings, and it's just disgusting. So we get a whole bunch of different calls. A lot of people we help. Some people we can't help. And, you know, there's a lot of mental health issues as well as we do this work nationally. So mostly police brutality. However, we get a ton of calls on a whole different spectrum.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that there is still this whole police brutality thing. We've been dealing with this for years. The only issue is now is that we can actually see it. So what is your role when you get these calls? What do you go out there and actually do?
That's good. First off, we have to do our due diligence. Everyone will come to you with a story on, you know, what happened to them. And a lot of the times after you do your research, you see that the story is not really matching up. So first we log the case. We log it into our crisis log, information, contact information. We get a little summary of the story. And then we also have a 4-step crisis process. It was put together by William Allen when he was here. William Allen's no longer here, but however, he put together a good system where we reach out to the elected officials, especially in other states. In New York State, we don't have this issue. We have a lot of resources. I know the lay of the land. So basically in other states, we do have a 4-step process. We want them to reach out to their local elected officials. Most elected officials have constituent services. So we hook them up with that. We also, because of our relationships, we know all elected officials in every state. We also try to hook them up with the chapter that's going to be in that state so they can, you know, coordinate with the chapter of National Action Network in that state. And then you have the clergy piece, and you also have community-based organizations that advocate for whatever issue they're calling for. So we hook them up with a support group, so to speak. And then the final piece would be an attorney here from the National Action Network to look at the case to see if there's any legal grounds for going forward or a resolution to the case.
That's a lot of work you're putting out there. It's not just like one simple thing. I see.
You gotta stay busy.
Yeah, out there. And, well, I mean, unfortunately, it's sad that this will keep you busy because it's not stopping. You know what I mean? So that's the sad part. It's good to see you working.
Sadly, it's increasing, Kim. Sadly, it's increasing. We get over 100 and some calls a week.
Wow.
And that's here at the national headquarters, which is 106 West 145th Street. But I know Reverend Sharpton in the corporate office, I know he gets another 100 calls easily over there for questions for different things. So it's tough. We do have a world-class crisis department, and we have over 100 volunteers that work in crisis that help. And these people are from California, Nevada, Las Vegas, Virginia, North Carolina, all over the country. We have a weekly crisis meeting call by Zoom every Friday, 11:30 to 1. You're welcome to come, Kim.
Okay.
You know, when I met Kim, for your audience that don't know, she was, you know, an advocate for families that were burnt out of a building. And Kim and some people got together and got some supplies and resources for them in a time of need. So this is the type of work we do, Kim. You may hear a story on a crisis log that you could help guide or you have experience with, and you could just send them a certain direction or whatever the case. But we open it up to everyone. Our crisis meetings are national call every Friday, 11:30 to 1. And we discuss all the cases and how we got a resolution to it, or what other resources or what other manpower we need to add on to the cases to get a resolution for the victims.
Absolutely. Please provide that information to me later. I'll make sure to post it on our social media so that people also have that as well. So I know you said you had something coming up soon and you wanted to discuss it. Can you give me some feedback on what this event is about?
Excellent. Well, listen, Nan is a machine. Kim, you know me before I got here. So being here, Nan is like unlike anything I've ever been around. So we always constantly doing something. Yesterday, Reverend Sharpton went to I want to say North Carolina. It was another state he went to advocate for a family that was wrongly no justice for 5 years, and the court to keep putting it back on the calendar. Also, we had a resolution to a case, and a lot of people didn't look at it as such because the young man didn't get hurt physically, but it was a young man, 15-year-old Keon Clark Harold, and he was attacked by a young Caucasian woman in here in New York City. And we just got the DA, the Manhattan DA will be pressing hate crime charges against her for attacking, because she only questioned people of color coming in and out, people that were Caucasian were getting to go by, nobody was questioned. So these things are very important. When our people are accused of things that they didn't do, we know that if police is called, they could lead to something more serious and deadly. So these things are taken very serious. So every Saturday, we have the Saturday Action Rally here at 106 West 145th Street. The corporate, this is the national headquarters for the House of Justice, Kim. Reverend Sharpton is here every Saturday. I can't stress that enough. He shakes everyone's hand at the end, or give you a fist bump, elbow bump, and he take a picture with him. And you can have some words with him if you have a crisis. We do the crisis intake on that day from 11:30 to 1, but the program runs from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And please come out here, Reverend Sharpton. And on Mondays, we have the Nan Youth Huddle every Monday from 6 to 7:30, and we feed the youth. The youth run the program. That's something that we're building on strongly, and they've been doing a lot of work in the community.
Please talk about that, because I'm very familiar with the Youth Huddle program. I've been to Nan quite a few times. Have close relationships with Ashley Sharpton as well. So give us some insight on that. Let's highlight the youth and what they're doing.
Our sister Ashley, young Ashley Sharpton, she's growing right before our eyes, Kim. I know she got involved politically this mayoral campaign. She endorsed Eric Adams, which looked like a good bet. We'll know after all the votes are counted.
Well, we don't know, because
we don't know yet. But it showed leadership. It showed that she stands on her values and her fundamentals, and that's very important, because you had a lot of pretenders in the race, paying everybody off for support, endorsements. But Ashley said, "No, I'm gonna go with my heart and with the best person that is." So the Nan Youth Huddle was led by Ashley Sharpton, Dominique Sharpton, Ashley Dominique. They run the Youth Huddle for okay, and they run the program for over 8 years at this time. So it's something that they do. Their mother, Kathy, is also a part of it. But these kids are phenomenal. Felipe Dosa, the president, Osman, Lamine. There's a whole bunch of kids that these youth are really engaged politically and activism-wise. And they're really engaged. And it's good that, our youth are engaged in politics. And these guys really take things by the horns, and I'm proud of these guys right now. They're actually doing a podcast right now in our Nan Tech World. Nan has a tech world in New Jersey, virtual reality, a whole bunch of technology gadgets and things that we're doing. I'm trying to get that board here to the House of Justice.
Nice.
We had a computer program. I'm trying to get it back here. It'll be back soon. So those are the things we're doing there. But the big thing we're doing, Kim, is August 28th. August 28th, Kim, is going to be March for voting rights. We have to march for voting rights. I don't know if you guys will mention on your newscast, I think I missed it, but the Supreme Court just knocked down a big part of the 1965 Voting Rights Act in Arizona. We challenged it. The Democrats challenged it. It was defeated by the Supreme Court 6-3. So all those picks that Trump got to pick while he was in office are paying dividends at the expense of our voting rights and our voices. So this is going to be big. Last year, Nan, myself and others, we did a big march in Washington. It was historic to commemorate the 63-year anniversary of the King March. But this year, it's not a Nan-led effort, but we did partner with other partners around the country, and it's a nationwide effort. So at the same time, across the nation, every state, we're going to be marching on legislation houses to demand they give us solid, strong voting rights. And this is no joke right now. 331 municipalities across the country put in court filings to suppress the vote, Kim. 331 all at one time. That's a coordinated effort. So the Democrats, it's not even a party thing. Anyone who supports voting rights need to get together and push back strongly. That's why we're pushing August 28th, March on the Voting Rights. It's for H.R. 1 and H.R. 4. Those are the bills that we're voting, and the George Floyd Justice and Policing. We need accountability in our policing. We need strength in our voting rights laws. So H.R. 1, H.R. 4, that's what August 28th is all about. And we're going to be doing some actions before that, and I'll let you know as soon as we put those details together. Please
make sure to update me on everything so that we can announce it on our network and spread the word globally. But, you know, I want to get a little bit personal, if you don't mind. I know you recently just survived breast cancer.
I am a survivor.
Yes, you are. And many blessings to Linda Bonanno, who also has the show Liddy. I'm Liddy here. And she is also a 10-year survivor of breast cancer. We recently, just yesterday, had a surgery. Hopefully this is her last one, to help her get through her situation. So a lot of people are not aware that men can get breast cancer. They only think that it's a women thing. And I know you want to advocate on that. So give us some insight on, you know, your recent procedure.
No, definitely. So this the whole experience. You know, when you go through any type of experience, no matter how ignorant you are at the time, as you go through it, you become very aware medically of what's going on. So I could possibly be a medical cancer doctor at this time with the things I went through. But on my birthday, this past February 10th, I made 50 years old around the sun, and I went to the doctor. In 2010, my dad passed away of cancer, and my dad never smoked. He was a square, he barely drank anything, but he still got cancer and died. And my aunt died in cancer in 2018. So I've always been diligent going to the doctor, getting checkups, because I don't want to, you know, I want to catch it beforehand if it ever happened. So on my birthday, I go to the doctor, you know, check up, 50 years old. I want to check everything out. I'm feeling great. And the doctor he detected a small lump on my chest. I didn't think nothing of it, but he went to check it out. And like you said, men don't think, you know, it can happen to them. And they sent me to have a mammogram. And I didn't think men could have a mammogram. You know, I thought that was only, you know, female specific.
Was it painful for you?
It was a little something. They got a little meat there. They got the meat, you know, they get the meat.
I'm just trying to make light of the situation again.
It's sweet, but I won't never tease them women again. I know what y'all go through. I bet. My mom and everybody. Right. And they was telling me, I was like, I didn't know y'all was going through that stuff. But so now, you know, they do all the testing. So did the grace of God, all the results came back negative. So I got the best, you know, answers that I could get in you know, in regards to my diagnosis. No chemotherapy. My genetic test came back. There's no genetic links to, you know, my grandparents or whatever. So everything was basically the best news you could possibly have. The worst news was I was going to be mutilated. They were going to cut off my right breast, my right nipple to be exact, and I'll be scarred for the rest of my life. I'll lose some feeling underneath my arm as well, my underarm. And I would have to take radiation. So I'm coming to you today. Today, I just finished my 12th day of radiation. Wow. And I have 21 days total. I have 8 days left. And I feel good. Some days I do feel tired. Being that my radiation treatment, everyone is different, but my radiation treatment is only targeting one area. And it's starting to discolor. The fluid buildup is starting to come back. And I had it drained, I think, twice or 3 times since the surgery. And they want to reinstall a tube back in me to have a bag, because your body's supposed to absorb it, and they teach you all this type of stuff. But I'm still blessed. I see God's mercy every morning when I get out the shower, every night when I jump in the shower. You know, I look at that God's mercy, because as a man, any other part of my body I probably would dread losing. It could be a toe, a finger, ear, an eye, an arm, a leg, but a breast, a right breast. As a man, we don't really use our breasts to do anything but to show off the girls or whatever. So I'm blessed, and it shows me God's mercy every day. And I'm attacking life with a new vigor. When you ask me how I do, I am the New York State field director as well, overlooking 8 chapters in New York City, and also the other chapters outside of New York City, which is in New York State. Wow. And so I find the time to do it. I gotta give the shout out to my team. I know my team just stuck ahead in it, but I work with a fantastic team at the National Action Network. I can't stress that enough. Aside from the daughters, Dominique and Ashley, who's grown up in Black excellence, there's Katrina Jefferson, Ebony Riley. There's just so many people on the team that I get to work with. And these sisters are so sharp and thorough, and they keep me on my toes. So the whole team is invested in the movement. And NAN needs you guys. It only costs $25 to be a member for a whole year. That's $2 a month, 50 cents a week. And we need you. We need people, ideas. We need people to sit on some of these committees to push some of this policy and legislation that we have. And we need people to help us push the movement. We are at the epitome of making real change in America. George Floyd opened the door to our allies, and we need to make the change now. Filibuster, no filibuster. We need to pass some real solid laws now, or we'll be past our lifetime. Our grandkids will be fighting for 331 municipality bills that were passed in those states. So, we and I look forward to it. Again, being a survivor, Kim, I grew up with rapper Black Rob. I played basketball with him. I grew up with DMX. He used to come in front of my building, battle rap against the guys in front of my building. So we knew them very well. And they were my age. Kim.
Right. They're young. Exactly.
Well, be in the afterlife as well. So I take this work very serious. I'm motivated. And when you work with Reverend Sharpton, who doesn't take a day off, Kim, you don't go on vacation. He works 7 days a week. You have no choice but to go hard.
Right.
He's making a lot of sacrifices. So, so that's it. I follow the leader.
I noticed he's been a great mentor to you. I noticed that you're changed because you went from the Black American Institute into, working with NAN and Mr. Sharpton, and you highlight him so much and you give him so much respect. I'm happy that he's been a major influence in what you're doing. I see your growth as well. Like, you're out there. You've been out there, but I see it a lot more, and I see your passion, and it's well respected. Can you let the audience know what we need, what you need from us? I know you said, to become a member, but just let us know what you need.
Well, let's do this.
Because we got to wrap it up. We got to wrap it up, so make it quick.
We'll wrap it up. I have 3 things I always ask people to do, right? It's 3 easy things, right? To get involved with an organization that you identify with. It doesn't have to be NAN. I identify with NAN. I identify with NAACP. I identify with the National Urban League. But I need people to get attached to an organization that you appreciate their work, you respect them, you see what they're doing, be a part of that organization. So with NAN, we're only $25 for the whole year, $2 a month, 50 cents a week. If you can't become a member of NAN and join and give us your time and energy, help us by going to our website, our social media platforms, and repost the things that we're talking about. Repost the positive things that we're doing, the positive things, the meetings, the rallies. Repost that stuff and get us more people to get involved. And last but not least, if you can't do one or two, the easiest thing is always to do, Kim, is to write a check and donate to an organization that you believe in. You can donate to us at nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. But again, any organization that you feel is doing the work, we need you here at NAN. But any organization doing positive work, please join them.
And just support. Absolutely. Just support. We got to go into commercial break. I don't want to cut you off. But Derek Perkinson, I appreciate you, your time, your space. You're watching Millennium TV 24. It's a good look with news. And we went into a break. There you go.
I love you, Kim.
I love you too. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Millennium TV 24. Again, I just want to thank Derek Perkinson of the National Action Network, who is out there doing amazing things. And I just also want to thank our team here at Millennium TV 24. It is just a huge pleasure to be part of what we're doing here. Next, we have temperatures rise and bullets flies. Unfortunately, gun violence is the leading cause of the death for Black males under 35 and the second leading cause of death for Latino male and Black female youth. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated those numbers, with homicides going up 30% across 34 cities in 2020 and gun assaults increasing by 8%. New York City is no exception, as the Big Apple tries to maneuver through the correlation between the rise in temperatures and an increase in gun violence. On Monday night, just alone, shootings across the city resulted in 1 person dead and 8 wounded. Devin Campbell, 32, was fatally shot in Harlem near West 125th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. Police found him with multiple gunshot wounds just before he was taken to the hospital, where he died. Next, a 19-year-old man was shot in his arm during a basketball tournament. Monday night at Amsterdam Houses on the Upper West Side, where several children were in attendance. It's not clear where the bullet came from, but the man was taken to the hospital, where he is expected to survive. Police also state that 21-year-old Keyshawn Curtin was fatally shot at the corner of West 136th Street and Malcolm X Boulevard on Sunday night. He was taken to Harlem Hospital, which was across the street, where he was pronounced dead. Police are still looking for the suspect. Also, 2 teenager siblings were among 4 people shot during a drive-by shooting in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Reports indicate that the brother and sister, ages 17 and 19, were taken to Brookdale Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Last Saturday, a summit in Brooklyn's Fort Greene Park. It was organized by Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Changes, Inc. That's GMACC, Inc. And Giant Thinking brought together local violence prevention partners to provide training and technical assistance for the community, which again has violence intervention programs. The training is part of the Fun Peace Summit. The Fun Peace Summit, which is in Cross County series, a local and national initiative aimed at reducing gun violence by turning to community-based solutions. Fun Peace is a coalition composed of gun violence prevention and community violence intervention organizations that are across New York and the rest of the country. The coalition recently endorsed the introduction of the Break the Cycle of Violence Act by New Jersey U.S. Senator Cory Booker. Executive Director Shanduke McFadden said that the violence is caused by a mix of issues stemming from the pandemic. People have been in the house beefing and on the internet beefing, which is arguing against each other. And once these people walk out of their house in this hot sun, there's no telling where they'll see someone that they had an altercation with. So when that issue arrives, that's why things happen randomly. We have heavy law enforcement in our communities, but we, as the community, need resources to be able to respond to these causes that are happening. What else? In May, 3 people were shot in Times Square during a shooting that occurred during the daytime. According to the mayor's office on criminal justice, the Bronx is seeing the highest level of the city's violence. So far this year, there have been 257 people shot in the Bronx compared to 108 at the same time last year. The Bronx was the scene of a horrific shooting caught on surveillance video where a man stumbled onto 2 young children while another man shot at him. The children were not injured during the incident. Police arrested the 27-year-old alleged gang member Michael Lopez, who they say was the gunman. Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark and NYPD Commissioner Dermot Shea held a gun buyback event at Christ Church in the South Bronx last weekend. So what that means is people who turned in their operable handguns or assault rifles, they received a $200 prepaid card plus a free iPad. But the Bronx has seen far too many shootings since this last summer, and one of the recent shootings involved 2 innocent children who were caught in the middle of a gunman and his target. Images of the helpless children have brought attention international to the gun violence that's plaguing our streets. We must stop these shootings. It's been really bad. So let's move on to California. A woman who was wrongly accused of a black teen of taking her phone at a New York City hotel late last year and grabbed at him as he tried to leave is now charged with a hate crime. Maya Ponsetto was arraigned in court in Manhattan video conference Wednesday and pleaded not guilty to charges including unlawful imprisonment as a hate crime, aggravated harassment, and endangering the welfare of a child. Ponsetto was at the Arla Hotel in December when she got into a confrontation with a teen, a 14-year-old Keon Harold Jr., whom she accused of stealing her phone. Video shows her grabbing at him as he tried to get away. Her phone was soon found afterward in an Uber. Ponsetto of Peru, California, was initially arrested in January on other charges in connection with the confrontation. The 22-year-old initially seemed to apologize, but later backed off in a tense interview, stating that I wasn't racially profiling whatsoever. Ponsetto told King that I'm Puerto Rican. I'm like a woman of color. I'm like a woman of color. No, you are a woman of color. But anyway, the charges alleged are a brazen and clear overreach of the intent of the statute. Her attorney, Paul Diamela, said in a statement, and in some, they are absurd and a perversion of our legal system. The family of the teen has filed a lawsuit against Ponsetto and the hotel, allegedly racial profiling. His father, musician Keon Harold, told King that Ponsetto's arrest was only the first step in a very big conversation that needs to happen here, right here in America, that has to do with racial profiling. If I had done that, what Maya Ponsetto had done to my son, I'd be in jail right now, he said. If I had hurt her in any way, I'd be in jail right now. We wouldn't even be able to have this conversation. As a black man, every day I walk outside, I have to play the perfect game, almost like throwing a no-hitter just to be believed. And next we have New York City primary disaster could undermine Democratic argument for election overhauls. A massive tabulation error in New York City mayoral primary this week has thrown the race into chaos, which is providing fresh ammunition to critics of the Democratic attempts to overhaul elections. The New York City Board of Elections on Tuesday posted a set of unofficial results from its second round of calculations in the new ranked choice voting system. Those results raised eyebrows because it suggested that Catherine Garcia, who is the former sanitation commissioner who placed third in the returns released on election night, significantly narrowed the healthy lead former police officer Eric Adams amassed. But the board withdrew the results later that day, and at the first acknowledging a discrepancy between the total number of votes that casted that it reported last week and the total number of votes reflected on the new returns. The board later said 135,000 sample ballots had accidentally been included in a tally and said that the next round of ranked choice voting would be the rerun this week. The hiccup set off confusion and outrage over how the election board could be seemingly so unprepared to handle vote counting for a system it touted for months. Ranked choice voting used the first time in New York City last week, which allows voters to select multiple primary candidates and list them in order of preference. So if no candidate attracts 50% of the first choice rankings, and none of the Democratic side did in the primary last week, the tabulations move into successive rounds counting the second, the third, the fourth, and potentially even fifth choices of voters until a candidate cracks the 50% threshold. The election board's mistake on Tuesday opened the door for mistrust of whatever result emerges from the system, shining a spotlight on the history of incompetence at the state institution. We'll see what's going to happen then. Next, Biden is to meet the families of victims in Florida condo collapse. The death toll rises to 18 with 2 children among dead. What we know. A week after a condo building collapsed outside Miami, the death toll continues to slowly climb as hundreds of workers continue nonstop search and rescue efforts. Now 2 children have been identified among the dead. Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levine Cava announced that 2 of the 6 bodies found in the rubble Wednesday were children ages 4 and 10. This raises the death toll to 18, which is 147 people are still missing. As families grow weary of the wait for news of their loved ones, we also worried about the tropical storm Elsa formed overnight, threatening further weather-related delays in the search. Crews are keeping a close eye on the progression of the storm as it moves quickly towards the Caribbean. President Joe Biden and the First Lady Jill Biden will travel to Florida on Thursday to meet with the first responders, also meet with the families of the victims. 2 children among the dead and the 2 bodies of the children found under the rubble were identified as Lucia and Emma Gara, ages 10 and 4 respectively. Their parents, Nelly Rodriguez, 42, and Marcus Guava, 52, have also been confirmed dead. Any loss of life, especially given that the nature of this was unexpected, unprecedented event, is a tragedy. But the loss of our children is definitely too great to bear. President Joe Biden and the First Lady are scheduled to arrive in Miami at 9:30 a.m. That's going to be Thursday, today, before a briefing with the first responders and local leaders, including Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Cava and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He will also meet with the families who have been forced to endure this terrible tragedy, that they're waiting in anguish and heartbreak for the word of their loved ones, to offer them comfort as search and rescue efforts continue. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki had mentioned in the statement. And in addition, again, they're having this tropical storm, which is Elsa brewing, the rescue and recovery teams. So what they're going to do is keep that close eye on the tropical storm, which was formed today, this morning, as the system moved quickly towards the Caribbean. The National Hurricane Center, they come of uncertainty, puts all of South Florida in the storm's potential path, and the residents have been encouraged to monitor the storm and make necessary preparation. But it is unclear at this point how, if at all, the storm will impact Florida and other parts of the country. The meteorologists are concerned that Elsa could strengthen quickly into a hurricane as it approaches the Windward Islands. Possible severe weather may cause delays in the search and the rescue efforts, Kevin Guthrie of the Florida Division of Emergency Management has stated just Wednesday. But Guthrie said that his team is going to be working with the National Hurricane Center and also the state meteorologists to develop contingency plans for severe weather, including tropical cyclones, adding that they may need to free up state assets that are centered at the site of the collapse so that in order to respond to severe weather. And on Tuesday, Guthrie said that the threat of severe weather prompted state officials to ask the federal government for the additional team. If a system does develop, we have a contingency plan of how we'll continue to respond here while responding to the hurricane. Rescuers have already been coping with the near-daily bouts of thunderstorms and the lightning, which forced temporary suspensions of the rescue efforts. But what they'll do is, Mayor Charles Burkett said he has received questions from frustrated family members about why rescue efforts halt during the thunderstorms. But I guess they have to figure that out and hope everything clears up very soon so that they can find the family members. Next, we have Ciara. She brings awareness in serving confidence. So this is in your health news. She's doing a cervical cancer campaign. Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Ciara Wilson is collaborating with the Black Women's Health Imperative and the Hologics Project Health Equality to remind Black women to guard themselves against cervical cancer. The Serving Confidence Initiative encourages women to stay on top of their Well Woman exams. Hologics Project Health Equality's website explained that the initiative offers a combination of research, education, and access to address the disparity in the health care that the Black and Hispanic women receive. And according to a report by Kaiser Family Foundation, there is a notable difference in the care that the women of color receive compared to their white counterparts. According to BWHI, it is the sole national nonprofit dedicated to advancing health equity and social justice for Black women. Health advocates are raising awareness with Wilson to share a simple way for Black women to take care of their health. As Black women, we need to commit to total self-care, and one of the ways we can do that is by taking care of our health that's inside and out. So through the Serving Confidence Initiative, I want to level up on conversations about health and address disparities by giving Black women the inspiration and information they need to get a Pap test to screen for cervical cancer. Per the press release, COVID-19 may have widened health disparities, and since the pandemic caused many women to delay their well woman exams. This can also lead to an advanced cervical cancer diagnosis or more serious outcomes. Research already indicates that Black women who live in the United States are twice as likely to die from cervical cancer than white women. Linda Gallo-Blount, she's the MPA president and CEO of BWHI, added that too many women are dying from preventable cervical cancer. However, screenings can protect women who take the preventive measure. So this is the message that Ciara is promoting. She's promoting it through her platform, and she's sharing it with all the women. I want to encourage women to understand that the importance in this case, how you can serve confidence and get ahead of everything. The cool thing is that you can prevent cervical cancer. So how amazing is that, Ciara said. Go out there, make an appointment, put yourself first. And what else? Putting yourself first is everything, she stated. Then you can take off and be your best in every possible way. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which is the CDC, stated that the screening test can be conducted in a clinic or a doctor's office. A pap smear looks for precancers, while the HPV test checks for the virus, and which may cause cell changes. So you have to know the difference. Women should begin getting pap smears at 21 years old, according to the CDC's recommendations. So please, ladies, go out there and get checked. And we're going to end this with sports. Carmelo Anthony named NBA's inaugural Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Social Justice Champion. So even though his off-the-court life might be a bit of a mess, on Tuesday, Portland Trail Blazers power forward Carmelo Anthony, he was named the inaugural Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Social Justice Champion by the NBA. Although Anthony is waiting through a divorce from his estranged wife, the power actress Lala Anthony, after it was revealed that he allegedly fathered twins outside of his marriage, he has, however, made a name for himself as a champion for social justice causes. The 10-time NBA All-Star was chosen from a group of 5 finalists for his dedication over the past year to pursuing social justice and advancing Abdul-Jabbar's life mission to engage, empower, and drive equality for individuals and groups who have been historically marginalized or systematically disadvantaged. Humbled, honored, and motivated to live up to the namesake of this inaugural award, Anthony wrote on Twitter. He said, "I can promise that I'll continue to carry the torch and shine a light in the places that need it most." Anthony, who has also played with the Denver Nuggets, New York Knicks, Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Houston Rockets, joined force with his NBA peers, Chris Paul of the Phoenix Suns and former NBA star Dwayne Wade, in July 2020 and started the Social Change Fund. The organization promised to invest in and support organizations that are working to liberate Black people and advocate for indigenous people and communities of color through the lens of policy solutions, community representation, and narrative change. The NBA star also lent his voice to the Vera Institute of Justice to promote criminal justice reform in the Voice campaign. And the 36-year-old's passion to create content led him to co-found the Creative 7 Productions, which his producing partner, business strategist Asani Swan. And projects on deck include an upcoming limit series called The Blood Brothers that centers on the kinship, friendship, and brotherhood between Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X. Notably, Anthony was also the pivotal force behind the launch of the Trailblazers Racial Injustice Initiative, which has awarded more than $200,000 in the funding to organizations fighting systematic racism. But we're going to end this here with what happened in sports. Chris Paul led Phoenix Suns to first NBA Finals since 1993. It's been a long time coming for Chris Paul, CP3. He returned to the Staples Center where he wore a Clippers jersey for 6 years and buried his old squad behind a playoff career high of 41 points to propel the Phoenix Suns to the NBA Finals. The 130-103 Game 6 win puts the Phoenix Suns back in the NBA Finals for the first time since Charles Barkley led the team there in 1993. To make it to the finals, the Suns eliminated an impressive run of teams in LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, League MVP Nikola Jokic, and the Denver Nuggets and the Clippers, who were without Kawhi Leonard for a majority of the season, but did not fold under the pressure of the moment. The Suns now wait on either the Atlanta Hawks or the Milwaukee Bucks. Talking about that, the Milwaukee Bucks face the Atlanta Hawks for the Game 5 tonight of the 2020 NBA playoffs at the Fiserv Forum. That's tonight at 8:30 p.m. The Hawks come into Game 5 after beating Milwaukee 110-88. With the win, the series is tied at 2-2. And this is Kim Seabrook. You're watching Millennium TV. As we always like to thank you for taking a good look in the news with me today. Please make sure to watch us on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick. Download the apps on your phones, whether you have an Android or an iPhone. And make sure, if you have a smart TV, to download the app too. We're all over. We want to see you, and we appreciate you. Have a good evening.